Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad to see a lot of people here today. Good community support. We will start off on the agenda real quickly with our approval of minutes. Do both of you have a chance to read the minutes from June 25th?
Yeah.
Comments, questions, changes?
I don't have any. I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as written from our June 18th meeting.
June 25th?
I'm sorry, June 25th.
What?
And
I'll second.
you'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go, sir. Thank you, Betsy, for the minutes. All right. How are you, sir? All right. We are going to jump right to 4B. Emily has agreed to come after that, and there's an issue that we're going to address, which I'm going to admit some folks into the Zoom right now. Hang on just a second. Just to unmute. Hi there. Mr. Scola is on the line. Is your wife going to be joining us as well, or is it just you today?
Yes, she's here as well. Hopefully you can see her.
Okay.
We're unfortunately in the car. We're in between appointments.
That's okay. I can't see either of you right now, but as long as we can all hear each other, I think that's the most important thing. I appreciate you attending as well. We have Rich Crook and John Meropoulos with us as well here, and we also have Chief Chris Purley and Sergeant Mike Mosier, who Mike was part of one of the responding police officers this past weekend. And to just give a brief update, there was an incident at the short-term rental that you folks own that was involving fireworks, which are against the fireworks ordinance in Jackson, but there was also a second issue that was part of just harassment, and we'll go over that second. So there's basically two issues that I want to address. The first one is the short-term rental ordinance and the fireworks ordinance. As I like to quote Chief Purley, people make noise, houses don't. So when it comes to the short-term rental ordinance, you are required, and it's your responsibility as owners to share the ordinances of the town with your renters, regardless of when they're put into place. When you first started with your short-term rental, we did not have a fireworks ordinance that banned fireworks. We since have had that go into place, and it's available on the website for the town of Jackson if you need that. But regardless of the fact that it wasn't in place when you started your short-term rental, it should be made aware to all of your tenants. So that is that's something that was unfortunate. I'm not going to say whether or not it was the fault of the other police officer that responded not to know what the ordinance is, because it's your responsibility for the owners. Obviously, the police officer should know as well, but the fact that this happened more than one night and on more than one occasion, that these renters did not follow the ordinance, is very unfortunate. Chief Purley, I'd like to ask you or Sergeant Mosier for your take on what happened and what, if any, actions were taken against the renters.
Sure, and do you want us up there? Because I don't know if
I
whoever's
would.
zooming in needs to see.
Yeah, I think that would be great if you all could come up front here a little. Thank you, I appreciate that.
We've done a couple of things. And we actually had two substantial fireworks cases over the holiday weekend. One of them having nothing to do with Hemlock Hill.
Okay.
And I'll talk about the cases, and then we also did a root cause analysis of what we see as kind of like the break in the chain of events that didn't allow us to as swiftly resolve the matter or adequately as we would like to in the future.
Okay.
So, as far as the incident on the 3rd, and we're aware of it all because John and Rich have communicated to us through email, and we also called to them. So, as an agency, the event that occurred on the 3rd was a fireworks complaint, and then they, in a neighborly fashion, try to mitigate it by going over and speaking to the renters, which degraded to name calling and threatening
Issue
behavior.
number 2, right.
And then they did the completely right thing and
Yes.
broke off contact. However, that was the end of really the dialogue and any furtherance of intervention. So that just kind of, sat there in isolation. So on the 4th, and we had staffing all weekend, on the 4th, I worked, but unaware of the conflict, didn't have an opportunity to go mitigate, which oftentimes with fireworks complaints, we get a complaint, we respond, we inform and give a warning, we assess the response of the recipient or the suspect, and make a decision on enforcement. And almost unilaterally, we haven't had to do any enforcement
Right.
because the problem stops. We haven't had to seize fireworks and, take the strong stand. Now, in this particular case, the 4th comes and goes, and there's been no intervention other than John and Rich speaking to the neighbor. And the neighbor obviously did not acquiesce because then the fireworks started again on the 4th. And these were, although fireworks are prohibited, we're not talking what was described as, bottle rockets or, Twizzlers or Roman candles. These were very concussive, loud, explosive fireworks, which geographically and topographically in our area become amplified because the whole of Jackson is almost an amphitheater, and can be very disturbing to people and to pets. So that matter on the 4th was reported to law enforcement around 9:30, I believe. So at that time, the sheriff's department responded. A sheriff's deputy as well as a Forest Service ranger responded. Now, the breakdown there was they did respond and they did speak to the suspect, and after contact with the police, there was no furtherance of the fireworks. However, the deputy was unaware of our town ordinance, but also did not seek to inform himself of it through a variety of ways. One, it's all online. 2, he has both of our phone numbers, and he's a dear friend, and we talk all the time. I'm sure it was a busy night, he didn't bother to check. So he left the person causing the problem with the impression that there was no ordinance. Now, this didn't result in a furtherance of the problem, but it did result in some conflict when we went to go see him, because as soon as I read the log, which I do every morning, and I saw the conflict that was reported on the 4th, which encapsulated the 3rd as well, I contacted John, and we immediately made a plan. And Mike was working, and then I contacted Mike. So Mike went to 11 and spoke to the renter, and he was initially agreeable, but not realizing we were there to reiterate that we have an ordinance, it's enforceable action, and it's not to be tolerated. And it was even worse than just using fireworks because of his behavior. And there was a little bit of tension there because it was inconsistent with what the deputy had left him with the impression with. I mean, he did say, I don't know of any ordinance, which that is an accurate statement. He didn't know, but we do have one. It led the perpetrator to believe we didn't have any regulations. So Mike made that crystal clear, and also that any other conduct like he had engaged in would result in his custody arrest for disorderly conduct or other behaviors.
Okay.
And there were no further conflicts, no further use of fireworks, and he did remain for I think a couple of days. A day or two. We also Mike contacted the homeowner to find out what, if any, information they were under or impression they were under from the deputy, from the homeowner, or what was going on. So we wanted to fully inform them what was going on, but also find out what they knew and what they had done. They provided us with a video that did show the interaction between the deputy and the suspect, which was cordial and light, I guess, 4th of July, but it was confusing, and it certainly didn't take a strong enough stand, but he may not have been as aware of the breadth of the conflict previous. We also got a hold of John and Rich and made sure that they knew what we had done, how we had done it, and moving forward, what we would do in the future if there was another problem.
Okay. So
So with that, we also we did a root cause analysis of where those breakdowns were. And I really broke it down into two cases, one being the disturbance on the 3rd and the other being the disturbance on the 4th. The breakdown in the disturbance on the 3rd was well-intended attempt to mitigate personally, but it failed, and then not a recognition of what we can do after the fact. And I've said this before, is it doesn't matter, we don't have to be right there for any complaint. Almost no crime we're there when it's happening. We can investigate any offense as long as it's within the statute of limitations of its report, whether they're here or not, and we do and we will. But then so that's been rectified just through our conversations with Rich and forums like this, so people know to reiterate that. On the second case, the property owner, by their own admission, did not inform the renter of the breadth of the regulations because they were unaware, for either by failure to make themselves aware or inadequate messaging. It is posted on the website. They do have some responsibility to find that out. They have since, it's been rectified because they have been informed of all of the ordinances that we have, noise and fireworks. The property owner was aware of the use of fireworks because they had a ring camera and saw the use of fireworks, but their impression was that it was not the type of fireworks that were described. Now, whether that means it wasn't the type that was described or they just didn't avail themselves of the information, I don't know, but they were aware of the use of some fireworks because, as they said, we saw them using what we thought were bottle rockets. Bottle rockets are prohibited in the town of Jackson, as are the other fireworks. As far as the lack of knowledge for the sheriff's department, since the event, I've communicated with the sheriff. I provided him with all of our enforcement ordinances: noise, fireworks, illegal camping, tobacco on public property, tobacco use. And he has distributed all of those ordinances to the road deputies that would respond to Jackson in the case that they had to, mutual aid assist us. So that lack of information, that gap, has been rectified as well. So that's what happened, and that's what we've done.
Okay. As far as following up then, and then following up with the Scola family and further short-term rental owners, I cannot express how important it is and mandatory that you know what the ordinances are in the town and that it is your responsibility. So whether it's every March after town meeting when you look at the records to see what new ordinances have been passed, that is part of your responsibility of owning a short-term rental. Having a local contact is very important, but also availing yourself to access immediately, and especially if you know that there is a situation that's happening, is of utmost importance too. At this point, and I'll defer to the two of you as well if you have any questions, but at this point, we are going to consult our attorney to see if there are any violation notices that need to be issued towards this, and we will let you know from that standpoint if anything will be taken. And that is for this is only for the fireworks ordinance as far as that is concerned. John?
This is
John Heropoulos.
I just want to add a little bit of color regarding the rules and everything. When I reached out to Stephanie Scola on the evening of the 3rd, I informed Stephanie that fireworks are illegal, and she told me that she sent that night on the 3rd those laws to the people. She also told me that she was disregarded. In other words, there was no response from the renters on the 3rd or the 4th. So I informed the renters when I went down, and Stephanie reached out and gave them the forms too, after being informed by me what the law is. Okay, now even as I was trying to be calm, and we can get into that as another thing, but I want to make it very, very clear, because I went over text and things like that, that despite my restraint in describing the situation, that by the morning of July 4th, the Scolas know that, one, the situation is in fact illegal, that two, that they had been ignored from the night before and that day by the renters. Their camera had been recording everything, so they were privy to everything that was going on. And they know that the confrontation of Wednesday the 3rd in the evening, and this is from a text by Stephanie on Thursday morning. She says it must have been a scary and hostile situation. So by the morning of July 4th, all of that knowledge is in place.
Right.
12 hours before the next firework attack.
Right.
Okay, so there's not just this bewilderment.
Yeah.
And I was told again via text that it wasn't until Saturday, July 6th, that they identified where the explosions were. Okay, again via text. So the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. It took until almost midday, that's when I received the text, on Saturday, that they, on their own device, found where the explosions were.
Okay. I appreciate that context, Bob.
Yeah, I think that there are, subjective descriptions about attitudes and how things were taken, and then there are some very clear objective things, and that's what I want to address. The penalty for violation of the ordinance shall be a fine of $100 for the first offense. This was a first offense. The fine should, and it says shall, which means must. That is the legal meaning of shall. So I can't imagine a scenario where I'm going to get talked out of making that motion before this issue moves on. And so if it was me and I was a short-term rental owner, I would certainly pass that fine along. I know they have recourse in events like that, but that's their business. They're the homeowners. That's where the violation occurred. And that is how it works. And then any time that happens again within the next 12 months, it's a second offense for $250. If there are other criminal issues or disorderly conduct issues, that's off the table for me as a selectman. We need to enforce that ordinance.
My question on that, and I want to make sure that we're doing that right. You're right, I totally agree with you with the penalty. Does the penalty go to the homeowner or to the offender? And that's the part that I want to make sure, or both.
It goes to the
Because
homeowner, it goes to the property owner.
And that's,
And they can do what they want with it at that point,
If
but
you wanna
it
pass
needs
the-
to be paid within 5 days of the date of issuance. Failure to remit the fine within 5 days may result in the issuance of a summons and added fines.
and this is the ordinance that's available on the Town of Jackson's website.
And so having brought it up, I'll go ahead and make that motion right now that we fine the homeowners $100 for a first offense violation of the fireworks ordinance of the Town of Jackson.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
All right?
Aye. Mr. and Mrs. Scola, do you have anything to add at this point before I go on to issue number 2?
The only thing that I would like to say is, I think when I first spoke with Officer Mosier on the 5th in the morning, we hadn't been able to isolate the explosions on the ring camera, so I really wasn't aware of how loud they were until we were finally able to isolate it. There was so much activity on the ring, and so it was hard to get that snapshot. So I was not trying to minimize the sound, because we did hear it and we know it was horrible. So,
Yeah.
that being said, you know, we did try to alert the renters, multiple times, and, it's very unfortunate that they were, you know, dismissive of the rules. And obviously what happened the evening on the 4th didn't help, but obviously they got the message on the 5th, and I'm glad that it ended then.
Well, I think that the point that John made before was that, you know, there were several attempts at making them aware of the ordinance, that they were breaking the law, and they chose to ignore that. So that was a
Absolutely.
very unfortunate part. Does anyone else have anything to add as far as the fireworks?
I just want to
goes? Frank?
ask, Chief, is there anything you can do about the belligerent, the person
Oh,
that
that's
was?
my second thing. I
Oh,
want to
you're
talk
good. Okay,
about
all
that
right.
issue of
Okay.
that after the fireworks, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, everything we
The
said,
one,
sorry.
one thing I would like to say is, short-term rental owners also can call the police. It doesn't have to be a third party. You know, I'm sure most, if not all, want their renters to comply with the law, and if they feel that and obviously they knew quite a bit, you know, then they can call us too, and we can mitigate or enforce as needed. So that is a resource they have as well, to lean on us to solve their problem. It's unfortunate for them that it's come to the point that now they're, you know, beholden for a $100 fine. But I just want to reiterate that we are a resource for the owners too. If they can't get a hold of their tenants, if the tenants are misbehaving, we can intervene. We can always intervene.
Yep, neighbors, anyone, please know that the police are available. We reiterate this very often because people don't want to call the police, or they don't maybe want it to escalate, but that's what they're there for. And if there's no record of a complaint through the police department, there's not a lot that we have the power to do sometimes. So they are our first contact. As far as the verbal harassment, which actually infuriates me so much more than the fireworks, I don't know if the violators' names are public or not, but I'm wondering if there are any other charges that can be filed for a hate crime or anything else, and if that is something that the two of you would like to pursue at all. And this is certainly personal for you guys at that point, but my blood's boiling. I can't imagine how upset and horrified you must feel. So I don't know if that's an issue that you want to talk to off record. I just want to make it known that I will support whatever you feel like you need to do. And then as owners of a short-term rental that had this experience, I hope and pray that you will do everything you can to make sure that these people are never, ever allowed in the town of Jackson again. And I don't know what kind of resources you have to post owner experiences and people, but I know that there are resources. So if these people ever come to the valley again, I will not pray for them. So whatever you can do to ensure us that you're doing everything you can to make sure that they are not allowed here. You're on mute.
We will do whatever we can,
Yeah.
but we're just curious. We're not aware of the verbal abuse, so that it would be great to get some clarity on that.
I'm going to leave that up to Rich and John to share that, however it means you want to, whether you want to do it through the select office, I'll be happy to. If you want to do it through Chief Curley, I'll be happy to do that. Or if you want to talk about it here, we can do whatever you want, but I feel like that's a personal choice that you have to make.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly take it offline.
Yeah.
No issues there. And
Okay.
like I said, we have, you know, the ability on VRBO, which is the platform we use to rent the property. We have the ability to give them a bad rating. Stephanie is a part of
There's a Facebook group in town.
Responsible,
the
yeah.
Okay.
responsible homeowners who rent community up in New Hampshire, so she could, you know, send out a message that way.
There's
as well.
also a local one in Jackson that I can share
Yeah,
with
I
you.
think-
So, okay.
But maybe if I could just
Yeah, go
add a
ahead, Rich.
little color to it. I mean, if you're not gay, you may not understand it and appreciate it as much. But you can call me any name, and I don't really care. You know what I mean? You can call me stupid, ugly, and anything. But when it crosses over into homophobia, people our age, it's in a whole other category, because throughout history, that comment has often been followed by violence, death, a lot of very bad things. So that's why this became an issue for us that night, the night of the 3rd. Not only were we hearing, professional grade fireworks and explosions, it's not my field, but pretty loud stuff, pretty belligerent, drunken behavior, and us not realizing with the scope of this, what else was on the premises. We walked away, and with that comment, saying to ourselves, what do we do now? Do we call the police? In which we know that's what we should have done. We know that. But we walked away saying, what if the police show up and they yell at them and then they leave?
Yeah.
Our house is going to be, they know exactly where we live and who we are. Our house is going to be destroyed. That's what was going through our heads, and that's why you didn't get a call that night. It wasn't because we were blowing it off or trying to. We were just afraid, to be honest. And then we woke up the morning of the 4th and said, "This is BS. We cannot be acting like this. We've got to call authorities, and we've got to nail them as soon as something happens."
Chief Curley?
What I would describe your total response to is what I would call a good-natured hesitation to involve the police. Most people do not involve the police in anything in their life, and there is a natural hesitation to doing that until you have exhausted all of your bag of tricks. Everybody has a bag of tricks. And then that's when they call. Now, sometimes maybe doing it earlier is better because we have a big bag of tricks. But don't beat yourself up on not calling. That wasn't an error. That is a byproduct of good nature. So shame on you for being good natured. But it's not an error. It's just the way good people behave and respond to those kind of conflicts. Fully natural thoughts, fully natural response, and do not for a second blame yourself.
I do want to add to what Rich said, is that we didn't, and we debated whether we should do it, but the word was faggots, and we don't know I don't know that it's done that way and stuff like that. Now, I didn't put that in, to be very honest, I didn't put that in any text or in any voice message or whatnot. However, I will continue to go back to the fact that by 10 o'clock in the morning on July 4th, the Scolas knew that it was a hostile and scary environment. Now, whether it was because we were faggots or it was the fireworks, it was a hostile and scary environment, okay? And I want to just reiterate a little bit of what Rich said. Number one, why the moderate approach from the 3rd and then into the 4th until finally, anyway, it was one, we wanted to be neighborly to renters and the Scolas. 2, 36 years as a priest and my entire life has been centered around building bridges, de-escalation, creating relationships, and trying to make things better. Number 3, not to bother the police, especially on a very busy night. 4, hoping that things would end. Fear. 5, fear and panic often take hold after violent situations when there is space to reflect and understand what has just happened. After 36 years as a priest, I have much experience with terror and trauma, from suicides to murder to homicides. Hence, the understanding of the bullying and the gay slur, the insistence to know where we live, repeatedly asking where we live, the nonstop verbal assault of the renter, the alcohol, all take shape and sink in as a person gradually leaves survival mode and begins to process what he or she went through.
Thank you for that. And I also, just to the testament of the two of you, your neighbor and community outreach for this incident has just warmed my heart, because I know the two of you personally and the people that surrounded you and gave you the options to be safe in their homes was very, very comforting, I'm sure, for both of you, but a consolation. So I will let you take that offline with Chief Purley if you want to pursue anything further. And if you want me involved in anything else, please, please, please reach out to me. Again, to the Scolas, this was one of the most unfortunate events, the most unfortunate event we've had with a short-term rental. We're learning, like Chief Purley said, where the gaps are, what we can do better. I can't tell you enough how you need to stress to other short-term rental owners the responsibilities that you hold when you rent your house out to strangers in our community. So please, please take that to heart. John?
Is this the conclusion of this?
Yes.
If it isn't, we have one very brief final statement.
Okay.
Just to make sure that certain things are on the record and are heard. We thank the Select Board for so speedily arranging this meeting and for their constant vigilance for the good of all. We thank the police for making us feel safe and secure in our home and for their personal attention and care. We understand the Select Board has a legal obligation to follow the law and town ordinances with great attention. However, on July 3rd and 4th, something was broken on our street, in our neighborhood, and in our town. This brokenness has caused fear, anxiety, the memories of past degradations brought to life again, and a general sense of insecurity which we have and our neighbors have never felt in Jackson. These feelings will last for quite a while, as we are startled now when someone enters the driveway unannounced and our door is now always locked. The Select Board must act according to the law. It cannot in any way ask the following of the Scolas. However, we ask the Scolas, in order to do something tangible, to begin to make things right and create a climate of healing, offer the revenue from their July 4th weekend rental and offer it to the way station, which helps the homeless in our area. There is no need for an answer to be given at this moment, as it is the Scola's prerogative to do whatever they wish to do. However, actions of charity and mercy are the ultimate agents of healing. Thank you.
Does anyone else have, Bob?
Yeah, I think given the fact that we have a meeting that starts at 4,
Yes.
I would move to table the rest of this meeting and take it up after our Bartlett-Jackson ambulance meeting.
That sounds fine. I just
Can-
wanted one
While
more.
we have the schools, can I get
Yes, I was-
a mailing address?
Yes. Scolas, could you please email Julie Hoyt, who I think you've emailed already, with your mailing address, please? And did you have any further comments?
Yep, we will, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, this tough interface on the telephone. We will absolutely email Julie for any follow-up, and then certainly take the donation idea from John and Rich to heart. Having been in the Valley for 30 years, and my wife for almost 50 years, we are huge supporters of the town, having donated to multiple functions in the past, and so don't see why this would stop us from continuing that behavior. So, thank you.
I appreciate you attending today, and if you have any further questions for the Select Board, you can contact me through Julie as well. And again, whatever you can do to help alleviate anything like this to happen again would be so appreciated.
Right, absolutely.
All right, I am going to take us off recording. Thank you.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Okay.
Motion on.
I will second the motion to move into the Bartlett-Jackson ambulance meeting. I want to thank you both so much and
Thank you
your
for your time.
supporters.
Emily, just one quick thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because she won't be here at the next meeting.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You're welcome to stay or not, but
Very sorry all that happened.
Thank you.
thank you,
It's in the
John,
past.
so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for coming. Sorry.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, I don't need to record in this, so
Can I
that's.
ask you just one question?
Yes,
Yeah.
Bridget, go ahead, I'm sorry.
What's the avenue to revisiting what fines are and what, I feel like I'm a neighbor of theirs, the violence was terrible that they faced, the belligerents. The fireworks part is something that we all have to be concerned with too, on a larger scale in town, because droughts, like.
Oh, yeah, you
You
mentioned.
know, like, it's terrible. If that can, so my concern is there wasn't enough police presence in this situation. It felt, and maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it took a while before the police could come on the second night.
On the fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we called twice, so
So
it
it
took me
took,
about an hour.
But we don't know when, we don't,
We're not
we don't know
You
anything.
don't- you don't know.
We don't know.
And so, I appreciate that comment and just knowing, and that's probably definitely more towards Chief Curley's venue. But,
if we want to look at revisiting what the STR, rules are and
Right.
how we go about requesting change, how.
that would be through the planning board, because they can bring the ordinances to, and that would be, and they're voted on at each town meeting as well. If there's a difference between sort of housekeeping issues, which can be done during the year, but putting a new ordinance into place starts usually with the planning board. Bob?
Yeah, I think if you're referring to the fireworks ordinance or the short-term rental ordinance, but both would be
really?
Yeah.
a place to begin, is with the planning board. I'm the liaison to the planning board. I'm typically at those meetings. And I can just say, when we built this ordinance, and I know Chief was around when we did, it may have been that we pulled standard language from other towns
Yeah.
that have typical fines, and this could be a standard level of fine in place that looked good at the time. Maybe it needs to be revisited, but that would be
Yeah.
my historical perspective on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, I'll reach out to the planning board.
yes.
Sure.
Chief?
Yeah, what Mike and I were just dialoguing back here is, one thing we're gonna look into, because it seems like, from legal counsel's advice, regulating STRs on behavior is difficult. Regulating STRs on construction, egress, health and safety is easy. So that's why our ordinances really focus on people's behavior. However, some communities have ordinances on something called a common nuisance. So that if a location becomes a consistent problem, I'm not gonna say I know exactly what the standard is, whether it's 1 call, 3 calls, 5 calls, 10 calls. But I think some ordinances some communities have ordinances on properties that become common nuisance and action that can be taken against property owners.
Okay.
And it's usually it's a lot of times it's associated with like drug houses and things
Right,
like that, but not a problem that we have. But
Yeah.
we're gonna research that side of it. Certainly something that would have to be done at town meeting and through that vetting process and voting.
Okay.
But that may be another approach to location issues that maybe transcend people issues.
Okay,
So we
I
kind of
appreciate
attack it
that.
from both sides.
I
Yep.
appreciate that.
All right, and thanks for that. We'll revisit that at a future meeting too. Thank you.
I want to talk to you about that too.
All right. Thanks, Bridget. Thank you all for.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Thank you.
We've just tabled this.
Thank
so
you.
now-
I know.
It's gonna happen.
Yes.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Brett would like, so that.
Emily?
Yeah. So let's talk.
Thanks, Bridget.
So I just wanted to give a quick update. I'm going to be going out, I'm going to be out of town from the 17th to the 30th of July, and I'm working with Julie in terms of my coverage. I will not have any communication at all, so just, we're
Gotcha.
working on that coverage. I might not come back. And all.
I'm with you on that.
So, yeah, So, just some updates. I did file letter of intent with the Leary Firefighters Foundation to submit an application for two full sets of personal protective equipment. This is going through the Jackson Firefighters Association, so not through the town.
Okay.
So just a heads up on that.
Okay.
We also, just in terms of a quick update on the process of the FEMA funding. We've been working through that. I just submitted the work on the emergency protective measures. Hopefully $7,000 plus will be coming to the town. We have had to make a lot of adjustments to those initial cost estimates, standard estimates that we've done. The final thing is, well, two more things. I submitted to the North Country Council on behalf of Jackson in terms of the Transportation Advisory Committee, an application for their 10-year plan, a project to look at Route 16, that corridor, roughly 92 to mile 96, between Chief Pearlie, Chief Henry. There have been a lot of concern about that. So that seems to be kind of an official way to get the process moving on that. Again, no local expenditures. This is a state highway, but I might need some letters of support from the select board and others. So you can post it on that. Our hazard mitigation plan update is really close to being done. So that's that.
Have a safe trip.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're wonderful.
Thanks for the update, Emily. I appreciate it.
Yes, we're working in the middle
right.
of the ocean.
On the, and
extra room?
then now we're going to move to the Bartlett Jackson ambulance meeting. Do you mind letting the folks in there? And thank you. Sorry about that.
Working somewhere.
Yes, I have my ad agency.
Okay.
I knew you made
And then we
$1,000. I
have-
knew it.
It's all right. Yeah, we
Yeah.
keep
Pile
it.
of 20.
We have raw.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I was psyched, I really was. And then
I'll make you know that you're Nancy
Here's
Solar.
something bad.
In Lindome.
We made $70. That's
And Fenmos?
Nice.
Fenmo brought in 70?
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you know, they're really good. One person in the chat,
July 28th,
Yeah.
we'll be back
No, people were
on
using
August
it.
That was good.
13th.
All right.
Thank you all for your help.
Oh,
I think I'm
I'm doing Ireland in July and then get in October because my daughter lives there and there's a baby coming.
Oh, I'm gonna be a
Take care.
grandmother too
Congrats,
in
you were great.
January. Yes,
Great, let
I'm
me tell
very
you.
excited. All right, thank you so much. Be careful out there.
Would you like the door shut?
Yes, thank you.
See you later. And that was, now there's only 3. Just the 3 of us.
Yes. All
Oh
right.
my God, it's
Select board meeting agenda. That's okay. So I am going to make a motion to call the meeting back into session at 5:08, and we are going to go on to the agenda at 4C for the cemetery lot agreement. What's that? I'm just going to, do you know if Julie was still here? I told them they didn't have to stay for the meeting, but
Hello.
I wanted to make sure that.
Tell us to leave if they are here, is that?
Yeah, or they can come in, whatever they want, whatever they want. I think they're gone.
Great.
Okay. All right, so our next is the cemetery lot agreement. And this is for $200 for lot number 888 and 889 at the village cemetery. So I need a motion to accept the $200.
So moved?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All right.
All right.
Aye. And while you're signing, I'm going to start reading this. This is a withdrawal from the trust funds. The Jackson Select Board are requesting the following withdrawal from the trust funds as indicated below. $1,550 from the Police Department Equipment Expendable Trust Fund 0051, invoice number 0087, dated 5/23/2024 for Muddy River Signs. $14,200 from the Fire Department Equipment Expendable Trust Fund 0046, invoice number INB 000686, dated 7/7/2024 for fire tech and safety, and $712 from the Bridge Repair Expendable Trust Fund 0034, invoice 1345, dated 7/1/2024 for Civil Solutions.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that $14,000 invoice was for fire equipment for the two air packs, I believe, so in case you are wondering. Bottom line. Trustees, trust funds withdrawal, and then that is for you. And then there is the Jackson Select Board authorizes the transfer of $115,000 to be deposited into the expendable trust funds per the warrant articles listed below. Bridge repair ETF 0035 for $90,000. State aid reconstruction ETF 0058 for $5,000. And fire department equipment EFT 0046 for $20,000, a total of $115,000.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Slide, please. There. Thank you. And there's for you. Wow. Getting
Did I
some rain,
remember?
huh?
Close my sunroof?
Uh-oh.
I did.
Oh, yeah.
I hope you would have run out of here before if you didn't.
Gotta get home.
All right. That takes care of number 4. Number 5, anything on the engineering study update for the fire station?
No, I think that the subcontractors, mechanical engineering and plumbing are just kind of comparing schedules, and everybody's trying to find a date. It should happen in the next week or two. I think we may have a date by the end of the week.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. On the Jackson Historical Society bridge railings, a lot of progress was made. Ann Pillion was able to connect with George Austin, the construction folks that are redoing the bridge, and with Gary Allen, and he has delivered the railings. George has delivered the railings, and they are stored in the grazing garage now. So we have possession back of those, and George was very helpful to take care of this, no charge to the town, etc. And then Ann and the town will figure out what to do with those moving forward. We may be able to use some of the rosettes and things on the future railings, or go through the Historical Society.
Great.
So that was successful.
Excellent.
Yes. All right, short-term rentals. We had a pending approval last time, and they had to change their ad, which they have done. The ad now reads 2 bedrooms, sleeps 6, and this is for the Haskett Murphy property on 82 Sugar Hill Lane. So we can make a motion to approve that short-term rental application.
I'll be glad to make that motion, that short-term rental.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
That just takes one signature here. We do not have Kevin Bennett here today, so I'm assuming that all approved building permits, there are only 3 of them, but all of them are without consequence, so that's that. Since there's no public here, there's no public comment, so any comments from you two further?
I have no other business to bring up.
All right. Our next meeting is Tuesday, July 23rd at 3:30. And then our meeting following that is Tuesday, August 13th at 3:30, and I will not be here. Do you guys want to have the meeting without me, or do you want to move it to the following Tuesday, which would be August 20th? And then we would have the 20th and the 27th. Either way.
Well, I just assume stay with the schedule, but, you know, it takes two, so, Bob, if you have any, you know, I'm flexible for whatever you'd like to do. It's all right with me.
Well, I think a couple things. A month between them is too long, and then a week between them is
Too short.
too short. So, yeah, I'm okay with sticking with the date.
Okay.
I'm fine with
All right,
that
the
as well.
13th.
I agree with
Yeah.
you just by looking at the calendars and the
Excellent.
fact that we will have the working session for the ambulance, and I'll throw that into the minutes in just a second. But I am fine with keeping that, so I appreciate your support on that, and I'll show pictures when I get back.
And as
Just
far
be
as
working
consecutive or amount of consecutive years in the position, it's a small thing, but go ahead and plan on chairing that meeting because that's you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And just a reminder, selectmen are always available, all right, unless we're on vacation, so you
Yeah.
can
And
call,
I-
you can get in touch with
Exactly.
the office. We're always here every day. Tuesday is not
Absolutely.
the only day that you could talk to your selectmen.
Right, absolutely true. So that will be August 13th, and then we just ended up putting a meeting on the calendar after our our August 27th meeting at 3:30. We will be having a working session with the Bartlett Jackson
Oh, yeah.
ambulance. So that will be starting at 4:30, working session. So I will fill Julie in on that as well. There is no need for a non-public session today, so if there's nothing else.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
It was a good meeting. Good
yes.
job, guys.
Thank you, you too. Very glad to see the support of a lot of people on unfortunate events.
Oh, that's terrible.
All right.
So do we know how to turn that off, or?
Yes, I know how to push that button up there.
When in doubt, pull the plug.
Yeah. I'm gonna wrap up the owl and stuff because
right.
Julie needs to get that back to Meg tomorrow, and that was all taken care of. So thank you guys for
Thank you.
everything. I really appreciate it.
You know, I don't see you, what chances are I won't. Just
Yeah.
have a
Yeah, I'll be
wonderful
leaving on the
vacation
28th.
in Africa.
Yes, we'll be on the 28th. Get back on August. We actually get back on that Tuesday, the 13th. So we
Relax.
land a little later and then
Just-
drive home from Boston. So there's no way I'd make it up to you.
Just relax.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Hoping to get
Don't
back on my
worry.
sleep pattern there. Yeah, we're really, really looking forward to it.
I bet you are.
It's going to be a dream.
Yeah.
Going to be a dream. All right, guys. Thank you so
All
much.
All right.
Safe
This rain
travels.
dark some of this pollen down for me.
I know. I hope you get your
It's
meds
worse.
back too, so you can.
Not my meds, it's a vitamin,
Feel
a really good vitamin.
Yeah. Or yeah.
That they ran out of.
Oh, that's frustrating. Well, now you know. Now you know that you, since
yeah.
you've been off of it, never try out of it again.
Yeah,
right?
well, it was all to do with the supply.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Look at this, we have every day, huh?
Yeah,
Oh.
just gully washers. Leave 'em.
I know. It's a good thing we're doing what we're doing. The
like-
deeper the ditches, the
Oh,
culverts,
gosh,
that,
right?
you know, we're getting ahead of this thing.
And the trees, it's like a jungle out there.
Yes, the
like-
planting,
oh,
the
oh,
plants
God,
and
yeah,
stuff,
it is.
yeah. All right, everyone, take care. Thanks
Take care, see
again.
ya.
All right, thanks, Barb.
Take care, bye-bye.
Yes. Let's just go here.